No CM in this fractal either. Although there's no mechanic that makes CM impossible for this fractal compared to the previous one, no way am I going to torture myself by doing a more difficult version of my least favorite fractal. Because it's not my favorite, I wasn't really looking forward to doing this fractal, and I wasn't really having much energy. But I had a free Saturday, the instabilities are almost perfect, and Silent Surf is looming around the corner. So if not today, then when? The price of completion was high. I had the entire day and the fractal made sure I used all of it. It also cost me my wrist and my eyes. But it's over now. This fractal always hasn't been easy on the eyes, at least for me. And because it's a bit tedious, you look at it for longer. I tried to fix it a bit by turning post-processing off, but it didn't really help. 2 new things have been added to Skorvald's fight. He's doing his usual orange attacks with the ball and the eye and whatnot. But new in this fractal, someone will have a bomb icon above their head, and shortly after, Skorvald will teleport to them and then do a knockback attack. You can dodge both of these hits, but I found more success by just dodging the second one. The first hit is, I think, percentage based. It's not counted as an attack, because on a previous day with Afflicted I didn't get any conditions. The second new addition to this fight is a more problematic one. During the 66 and 33 Flux Anomaly phase, you have to kill all 4 of them within 1 minute and 15 seconds after reaching that phase, or it's game over. At first I thought you could invulnerable or survive the arena wipe in some way, but it's just the end of the fight, so it's a DPS check. Although there are plenty of bursty and high damage builds for Engineer and Ranger, I went with Thief. I theorized that the highest damage I could do was a backstab Thief, but for almost the same amount of damage and a lot less intensive, there is the good old Unload Thief. I think I can do it without Outflanked, but Outflanked really is a saving grace for this part. But it comes to bite me in the ass later, so it's a bit of a double-edged sword. In general though, Outflanked really saves the run, so I'd rather have it than not. In previous runs I always dodged the Agony Shockwave to both avoid the burn and, well, the agony. But on Thief I don't have the luxury of shield or, well, extra dodges, but, well, I do have extra dodges, but they are not always up. So I saved my dodges for the bomb and for the solar blooms and just jumped the shockwaves whenever possible. Yes, I take a lot of burning damage, but aside from the burning damage and the bomb hit, I don't get hit by anything else, so that's easily mitigated with the heal signet. Yes, I casually did the marble puzzle on my second try. Almost first try. I'm amazed with myself as well. Now, don't pay too much attention to the next part. I can finish this fight by just running in circles like I did with the first 25%. But you know me, I try to find more lazy and interesting ways to tackle encounters. So I tried to get to the high ground and get the boss from there. But after a bit of playing around, I found that having it on the high ground and me on the lower ground works as well. Because all the ball attacks are on the same plane. As long as you're higher or lower, those attacks won't hit you. And the only thing you have to really dodge is the big orange circle balls, which is easily done from down here. Viirastra. Oh, I don't like this fight at all. It's like I'm missing a head or an extra hand or something to help me with this fight. There are 4 things to juggle with this boss. Firstly, there are lots of orange circles that constantly move in a pattern in the arena. They deal around a third of my health as damage, so I try not to get hit by them. And what's even worse, with outflanked, if you're close to Viirastra and you're not directly facing her, it hits for 12,000, which in most cases is a one-shot. So why am I staying close to Viirastra? Well, that's for the second part. Every 50 seconds, Viirastra moves from one corner to another. And while doing that, she will do 3 stomps. And those stomps, those stomps are almost always an insta-kill. So to not get one-shot by those, the best spot to stand is right beside her. Those stomps have something special to them as well. The first one will spawn a small clone, the second one will spawn a medium clone, and the third one will spawn a large clone, and an agony shockwave, which you have to jump over or block or evade or find some other way to avoid it, or you go down. The large Viirastra clones spawn 3 medium ones, and each medium one will spawn 3 small ones. Their damage is substantial with outflanked, but the real risk is from having too many of them. The worst one is the large one, because it has around 2000 range, so having too many of them up will slowly kill you. The medium ones are also trouble because they have a break bar, so you can't really blind them like the little ones. And the danger with the little ones is that there are a lot at once, but they don't really deal that much damage. The third part you have to juggle is at 90% and lower. One person in your party, so in this case always me, will get a corporeal reassignment on them, and that means they will explode in 7 seconds. The normal way to mitigate it is to go to the safe bubble in the middle of the arena, but for several reasons I use AED to overcome this part. It might seem simple since there are many signs telling you that you're going to die within 7 seconds, but I do forget it sometimes. It can get very hectic with all the orange circles, the little clones, and the fourth part, the marbles. At 66% and lower, Viirastra wants to up the ante with her game, and she will spawn marbles. After managing to juggle the 3 parts at the start, the marbles will ruin any balance you had. Not only do you have to dodge all the orange circles, kill the clones, not die from corporeal reassignment, you also have to stand in each white circle. If you fail to stand in the white circle when the marble lands, the marble will send out an agony shockwave, it will spawn a lightning elemental, and Viirastra will move to another corner and start another marble. The lightning elementals are dangerous, their damage is mediocre, but they're ranged and they always use daze at the most inopportune times. The marble itself, with a bit of practice, is easy to catch. The danger comes from the other 3 things. Standing in the white circle, you also have to avoid all the orange circles that are inside the white circle. You have to mitigate the damage from all the clones that will now gang up on you. And using AD, you don't have to move to the middle of the arena, so you have an easier time juggling the marble. However, if you happen to do a jump and you will explode in midair, you will lose all your momentum and will fall down, most likely not on the white circle, and thereby dropping the marble. This is the most tricky part. I've deduced that during the 2nd and the 8th marble, you will explode in midair and you have to find another way. Luckily there are shadow steps to get from one place to another, which is not available for engineer and a few other classes, but luckily there's always super speed to bridge the gap. So for the 2nd and 8th marble from the 1st marble phase, I can bridge the gap and not drop the marble. For the 2nd phase, yes, there's a 2nd phase of marbles, the marble will follow a different pattern. This is also the only deviation from tier 3. The marble will travel further between white circles, which means that you can't run from one white to another to overcome the mid-jump explosion. But it only happens during with the 2nd marble, and my solution is to overshoot the last white circle and you will land hopefully inside it. It's a bit finicky, but that's the solution I have. With all those downsides, there's one upside with the marble. It will deal 2% of Viirastra's health. So in theory, you could just stay in stealth and slowly marble her down for the second and third phases. But I think you will eventually drown in clothes, so that's not recommended. It speeds up the fight, because the first part is quite slow. I had to take lots of breaks for this one, and I was literally on my last attempt before I wanted to call it quits, but I managed to do it. And I still managed to keep my sanity, which is important because I still have one more fractal to go. hasn't really changed since tier 3. He has one more mechanic than normal, which is at the very end. Some tiles in the arena will temporarily disappear, which makes evading certain attacks a bit more difficult. And if you happen to fall down, you have to use your special action jump to not die. And if you happen to fall down quickly after that, it's instant death. There's a bit of a grace period after a while, so falling down isn't the worst thing. However, if you happen to fall down while you're assigned for corporeal reassignment, yeah, there's no saving you. As usual, the hardest part of this fractal is the 40% with the kitty golems and the Gladiator. The Gladiator does the same shockwave attack as Skorvald, only this time the burned circle is larger. And you have to use invulnerables to not get burned. You can't block, evade or find some other way to mitigate it. That and the damage from the little golems stacks up quite quickly. At first I did this on Engi, but after the previous fight and a wipe on the kitty golems, I swapped to Thief. I was a bit tired of grenading constantly. Not to mention that the Thief has a bit more damage output since it had to overcome the DPS check from the first boss. I think I can do the entire fractal on Engineer, but I included the rule to change classes for exactly this reason, to overcome the tedium of certain scenarios and to save myself from spamming grenades. and after this fight, it's here. I'm 100 out of 100. That's it. No more. I'm done. My personal fractal level is 100. Or is it? Because there's still one more to go. I hope to see you there.